Shocking. Liv Morgan returns and delivers a resounding attack on Roxanne and Raquel for their betrayal. They thought Liv Morgan was finished. Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez celebrated their backstabbing betrayal, thinking they had permanently destroyed the most dangerous woman in WWE, but they were dead wrong. Liv's shocking return and the brutal assault she unleashed on both traitors was so vicious and personal that it left both women bloodied, broken, and absolutely terrified of what's coming next. When you see the level of rage and vengeance that Liv brought to her comeback, you're going to be absolutely stunned at how far she's willing to go to make these backstabbers pay for their betrayal. The arena erupted when Liv Morgan's music hit, but what followed wasn't just another wrestling return, it was the unleashing of pure fury from someone who had spent months plotting the most devastating revenge in women's wrestling history. The look in Liv's eyes as she stalked toward the ring wasn't just anger, it was the cold, calculated stare of someone who had transformed her pain into an unstoppable weapon of destruction designed specifically to obliterate the two women who had shattered her trust. Roxanne and Raquel's faces when they saw Liv approaching told the entire story of how unprepared they were for this level of concentrated violence. These two thought their betrayal had broken Liv's spirit and ended her career, but instead they had created a monster who spent every day of her absence planning exactly how to make them suffer for their treachery in the most public and humiliating way possible. But here's what's going to make your blood boil with righteous fury. Roxanne and Raquel's betrayal of Liv wasn't just a business decision or storyline necessity. According to backstage sources, both women were jealous of Liv's natural charisma and crowd connection, so they conspired to eliminate her from championship contention through the most cowardly and underhanded tactics imaginable, including spreading rumors about her professionalism and actively sabotaging her matches. The attack that followed Liv's return was absolutely brutal and methodical, designed to inflict maximum physical and psychological damage on both traitors simultaneously. Liv didn't just want to hurt Roxanne and Raquel, she wanted to humiliate them in front of the entire WWE universe and prove that betraying her was the biggest mistake either woman would ever make in their pathetic careers. "You thought I was done? You thought your little betrayal would keep me down?" Liv's voice echoed through the arena with such raw emotion and fury that even hardened wrestling fans were shocked by the genuine hatred pouring out of someone who had been pushed beyond her breaking point. This wasn't just character development, this was real anger from someone who had been genuinely hurt by people she trusted. The systematic beating that Liv delivered to both women was unlike anything seen in recent memory, as she seemed determined to inflict punishment that would make them regret their betrayal for the rest of their careers. Every punch, kick, and throw was delivered with maximum force and precision, showing that Liv had spent her time away not just healing emotionally but training physically to become a more dangerous competitor than ever before. But the most shocking aspect of Liv's assault was how she targeted both women's specific vulnerabilities with surgical precision. She went after Roxanne's previously injured shoulder with vicious submission holds, while focusing her attacks on Raquel's knees to neutralize the size advantage that had made her effective against smaller opponents. The strategic nature of her violence proved that this wasn't just emotional revenge, it was calculated warfare. Roxanne's attempts to escape the onslaught were pathetic and only served to make Liv's dominance more obvious. The woman who had positioned herself as NXT's future was reduced to crawling away from someone she had betrayed, begging for mercy that would never come. The visual of her desperation contrasted with Liv's cold efficiency was absolutely devastating for her credibility as a tough competitor. Meanwhile, Raquel's size advantage meant absolutely nothing against Liv's focused rage and superior conditioning. The woman who had used her height and strength to dominate other opponents found herself completely overwhelmed by someone smaller but infinitely more motivated to inflict damage. Her inability to defend herself against Liv's assault exposed her as a paper tiger who crumbled when facing genuine adversity. The most infuriating part of this entire situation was how Roxanne and Raquel had the audacity to act surprised and victimized by Liv's revenge, as if they hadn't spent months plotting her downfall and celebrating her absence from WWE programming. Their fake tears and desperate pleas for help revealed the true cowardice behind their earlier betrayal and manipulation. Security's attempts to stop Liv's assault were completely ineffective because she had planned for every possible interference and had developed counter-strategies for anyone who might try to protect her targets. Her ability to continue inflicting punishment while avoiding official intervention showed a level of strategic thinking that made her more dangerous than anyone had realized during her previous WWE run. The backstage reaction to Liv's return and brutal assault was reportedly intense, with many wrestlers expressing genuine shock at the level of violence and personal animosity she displayed toward her former allies. Some colleagues were impressed by her transformation into a more aggressive competitor, while others were concerned about the precedent this level of revenge might set for future betrayals and conflicts. What makes Liv's comeback so much more compelling is how it represents the complete transformation of someone who had been portrayed as a fun-loving, relatively innocent character into a hardened warrior willing to use any means necessary to achieve her goals. The psychological evolution from betrayed victim to avenging angel creates storytelling possibilities that extend far beyond typical wrestling feuds. The physical conditioning and fighting techniques Liv displayed during her assault suggested that she had spent her time away working with legitimate combat sports trainers and developing skills that went far beyond traditional wrestling training. Her improved striking ability and submission expertise made it clear that she had used her absence to become a more complete and dangerous athlete. Industry observers are calling this one of the most effective comeback attacks in women's wrestling history because it accomplished multiple goals simultaneously, re-establishing Liv as a main event threat, exposing her betrayers as cowards, and setting up long-term storylines that could sustain compelling television for months while generating massive fan engagement and social media discussion. The crowd's reaction to Liv's revenge was overwhelmingly supportive, with fans clearly relating to her desire for justice against people who had wronged her through underhanded tactics and personal betrayal. The organic audience connection created during this segment demonstrated why Liv had been missed during her absence and why her return was so impactful. Roxanne and Raquel's individual responses to the assault revealed their different psychological makeups under extreme pressure. Roxanne's attempts to negotiate and manipulate her way out of punishment showed her political instincts, while Raquel's desperate physical resistance revealed someone more accustomed to using intimidation than experiencing genuine fear for her safety. The medical attention both women required after Liv's assault was reportedly extensive, with multiple injuries that could affect their ability to compete in upcoming matches and storylines. The real physical consequences of this revenge attack add legitimacy to the feud while creating practical booking challenges for WWE's creative team moving forward. Other women's division wrestlers are probably reconsidering their own alliances and rivalries in light of what happened to Roxanne and Raquel, as Liv's transformation into a vengeful force of nature demonstrates that betrayals in women's wrestling can have severe and lasting consequences that extend far beyond temporary setbacks or embarrassing losses. The international wrestling community has taken notice of this storyline as an example of how personal conflicts can elevate women's wrestling when the emotional stakes feel genuine and the participants are committed to making their characters' motivations believable through authentic feeling performances and realistic consequences. Social media reaction has been overwhelmingly positive for Liv's return and revenge, with fans expressing satisfaction at seeing betrayers receive appropriate punishment while also anticipating the continuation of storylines that promise more compelling character development and high-stakes conflicts in WWE's women's division. The long-term booking possibilities created by this return are extensive, as Liv's transformation into a more aggressive character opens up feud opportunities with virtually every woman on the roster while also providing potential for redemption arcs, alliance formations, and multi-layered storylines that could sustain audience interest for years. Liv's new character direction also provides opportunities for cross-promotional storytelling between different WWE brands and potentially international wrestling relationships that could expand her influence in drawing power beyond traditional boundaries while maintaining the authentic emotional core that makes her revenge storyline so compelling to audiences. Quick question for the comments: do you think Liv Morgan went too far with her revenge attack, or did Roxanne and Raquel deserve everything they got for their betrayal? Let me know your honest opinion below. And here's another one: which of the two traitors do you think will recover first from this assault and try to get revenge on Liv, Roxanne with her cunning or Raquel with her size advantage? Drop your predictions in the comments.